Hello and a very warm welcome to Full Speed Racing. This week we're at Brands Hatch for the F3 Cup. 2 races around the twists and turns of the Indy circuit, bathed in glorious sunshine. Stephen Evans here in the commentary box as Alex Craven lines up on pole position alongside Lewis Hamilton Smith. Those are the cars preparing for the start of the race. This then how they line up in full, with Craven, Hamilton Smith showing the front row. Then row 2, Tristan Cliff and Alex Powell. Row 3, Robbie Watson, Mark Harrison and David Scott. Watch for him from 7th on the grid as the revs about to rise. The red light's on, in-car Tristan Cliff builds the momentum and away we go. He makes a good start, but so does Hamilton Smith from the outside of the front row. The yellow and black car, Tristan Cliff, trying to squeeze through as well. It's Alex Craven who converts pole position to the inside line through Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Climbing up Halewood Hill towards Druid as Cliff goes for the deep dive into the hairpin. Attempts to go around the outside of Hamilton Smith, which he can't quite do. So they head down towards Graham Hill Bend. They're pretty much as they qualified. It's the white car of Alex Craven from the yellow machine of Hamilton Smith, then the silver car of Tristan Cliff, just in behind Tristan, the former GP3 racer, Alex Powell, and then we've got Mark Harrison and the rest of the pack squeezing through. David Scott there just moving clear of Robbie Watts. Scott in the red car, Watts in the blue number 11 machine. Out of Clark Curve, down the round straight and over the line for the first time. Lewis Hamilton Smith, whose day job is working for the Red Bull Formula 1 team, chasing down Alex Craven. Craven, who has previously raced in Formula Renault cars as well as Formula 3, quick driver and has been on top step of the rostrum on several occasions previously in the F3 Cup and also the former BRSCC Championship for F3 cars. They accelerate around Graham Hill Bend and then along the Cooper Straight with Hamilton Smith in the slipstream behind Alex Craven. Problem being that these Formula 3 cars, relatively speaking, have significantly more grip than power, and that means that really you need to be very, very close to the car in front, try and pressurise them into an error, or possibly take advantage of the slipstream along the Brown Straight in towards Paddock Hill Bend, which is the principal overtaking opportunity. So across the line they flash, and then down, plunging through Paddock in-car Tristan Cliff. That's beautifully done from Tristan, just clips the apex on the way through, runs out to the curbs on the exit, and then really closing in on to Hamilton Smith on the brakes. There's Robbie Watts looking to recover from his difficult first lap where he lost a little bit of ground. As Cliff comes back towards Hamilton Smith all the while though. Alex Craven just being able to put buffer, and Alice Powell sitting there in 4th, holding a watching brief. The rest of them all flash through as quick as you like, with Neil Harrison and Nick Robinson towards the rear of the field. So it's the silver car of Cliff remaining in 3rd, and now it's possibly Alice Powell who's beginning to exert the pressure, and this is what is characteristic of Formula 3 racing, because the cars are so evenly matched. The tiniest error or the tiniest bit to try and challenge the car in front can easily see you slipping back into the clutch of the car behind. That's why we're seeing the gaps yo-yoing in the early stages of this race. Down to Graham Hill Bend and Tristan Cliff through the left-hander, just a slight correction on the exit. That could give Alice Powell maybe the opportunity to close up on the Cooper Straight, not quite. Alison Burrow's car this weekend, it's the first time she's driven it, and therefore adapting very, very impressively. Next group of cars headed by Stuart Wiltshire, with then David Scott in pursuit with still Robbie Watts. Just sitting there at the trail of this train, looking to make the manoeuvre. The Brands Hatch Indy circuit, something of a rite of passage for all junior drivers in their Formula 3 days, because the likes of Sebastian Vettel have raced here in Formula 3 as part of the Formula 3 Euro Series. Lewis Hamilton made his Formula 3 debut at Brands Hatch at the end of 2003. Admittedly, that was on the Grand Prix circuit. Then British F3 were on the Indy circuit in 2004 when we saw Nelson Piquet Jr., who went on to race in Formula 1. Around the Graham Hill Bend, and Stuart Wiltshire just being chased a little bit by David Scott. Scott, another driver in the series who makes his living working in Formula 1, trying to close in onto the tail of Wiltshire. Scott often goes very, very well when we see him out at Silverstone, and he closes up onto Taylor Wiltshire now, and he might be near enough to challenge possibly into Paddock Hill Bend on this occasion. He's only 2 car lengths back as he uses the slipstream. He forces Wiltshire defensive, then swoops down through the high line as back to the front of the field. Alex Craven has been reeled in just a little bit by Lewis Hamilton Smith. Hamilton Smith trying to get onto terms. with Craven. What he really needs to be is right underneath his rear wing, but the problem for these drivers is, as in Formula 1, the rear spot of the car in front kicks up turbulent air, and that means that for drivers to get much closer, they have to really extend the grip available to them in their tyres. While you can do that maybe on one or two occasions during the race, if you do it too frequently, you'll just overexert your tyres, they'll go off, and then you lose touch and begin to slip down through the field. That can make it very tricky to make an overtaking manoeuvre, particularly on a track such as the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, where actually you don't have all that many long straights, as David Scott now under a little bit of pressure as well from Robbie Watts, who thinks about launching the move into paddock, but as you can see, they all break so late for Paddock Hill Bend, really just something like 50-25 metres before the corner, that you have to almost be alongside your rival before you hit the braking zone in order to get through. Further back though, good scrap going on as Dave Carrascus looks to the move and makes it on Nick Robinson, so Carrascus gains the place. Dave Carrascus, who is leading the trophy class in this race, which is for the pre-2002 cars. Carrascus actually a former classic Formula 1 racer, so he is very, very well experienced in these high-powered single-seater cars. Nick Robinson, though, looking to take his turn to chase Carrascus down. So part of that group is Neil Harrison. There is Harrison in the number 9 car. He, like many of the competitors, in a 2002 Dallara. Dave Carrascus the year before that, the 2001 Dallara. 2001 season dominated, of course, by Takuma Sato. He, like his Carlin teammate that year, Anthony Davidson, pretty much went on the fast track towards Formula 1 thereafter, as out of Druids they come. Carrascus chasing down the slightly newer car of Neil Harrison. He can't, as yet, find a way through. All the cars in this race, with the exception of Scott Temple's Toms, are all Dallaras. Dallara becoming the preeminent Formula 3 chassis, at least in Great Britain, midway through the 1993 season, and thereafter every champion from 1994 onwards has been with a Dallara chassis. Head of the field, Alex Craven in his 2007 vintage Dallara, one of the more modern cars in the race, pulling clear of Louis Hamilton-Smith once more. Hamilton-Smith being pressurised by Tristan Cliff, another driver in the 2007 spec Dallara. Louis Hamilton-Smith in the 2004 car. So through Paddock Hill Bend they head, climbing up Harewood Hill towards Druids. Tristan Cliff just trying to pick his way through Druids in pursuit of Hamilton-Smith. Hamilton-Smith doesn't want to be distracted though too much through his wind mirrors here. What he'd really like to do is start chasing down Alex Craven. Now here could be his opportunity, because they're going to get in amongst the traffic, and this is the moment on which the race could hinge, as around Clearways they head. Here's the race leader, Alex Craven. First cars who'll come onto the tail, I suspect is probably going to be Nick Robinson. There's Tristan Cliff, third in the queue. He has got really the whip hand here. He can pick his moment and decide which side he's going to go. In fact, it's Neil Harrison whom they're going to catch first, and Harrison points to the inside. That's really good driving there by Neil Harrison. Sees those behind coming and gives them ample space. Hamilton-Smith sides through. They think it's probably Craven who got the slight advantage on that occasion. So out of Graham Hill Bend, sprinting along Cooper Straight again. Dave Carrascus sees the leaders and moves aside as Craven and Hamilton-Smith both dive past Carrascus. Not sure that Tristan Cliff quite managed to squeeze through. Yes, indeed he did. So the three leaders actually pretty much exactly as they were before they hit the traffic, except maybe Alex Craven has gained another couple of metres on the cars chasing him down. Paddock Hill Bend once more, Louis Hamilton-Smith in pursuit of Craven, then with Tristan Cliff just in behind you. You can see that there weren't really too many major developments between the 2004 and 2007 Dallara. It was the next iteration onwards, and the 2008 Dallara, which was substantially technically different, although the 2007 car, the racing period, was generally found to be a little bit tricky to set up, to find the sweet spot. The cars in the F3 Cup, by and large, have raced in the British Formula 3 Championship or the F3 Euro Series. They've then been to race in either a European Formula 3 Championship for older cars, like the European F3 Open, or possibly in the Australian Formula 3 Championship, before coming back to the F3 Cup. Well, here is a good scrap. Dave Carrascus, Neil Harrison and Nick Robinson. There's been a change in the order there. Dave Carrascus has found his way past Neil Harrison, so that's another place gained for Dave Carrascus. as he continues in pursuit of the trophy class. Climbs up Halewood Hill as Robinson looks inside Neil Harrison. Can't quite make the move stick. Harrison moves across, comes the racing line as Alex Craven, into the very, very late stage of the race, picks his way past David Scott. So problems there for Scott as Craven accelerates along Bramham Straight to another lap. We've only got a couple of moments left in proceedings. It's really going to have to take some major misfortune on the part of Craven, or possibly something spectacular from Louis Hamilton-Smith for the order to change. Tristan Cliff, though, still lurking with intent on the tail of Louis Hamilton-Smith. Craven negotiates the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. Louis Hamilton-Smith, though, slightly offline. You can see he's probably about 6 inches away from the apex, and that's just a glimmer of hope from Tristan Cliff. He can't really capitalise along the Cooper Straight, which means that for Alex Craven, his lead builds, but Hamilton-Smith probably able to sufficiently maintain that second place as Craven accelerates along the Bramham Straight, and this time the checkered flag goes out. He takes the win. Louis Hamilton-Smith in second place, Tristan Cliff third, Alex Powell in fourth, and Dave Karaskas is going to claim the trophy class honours. Very solid performance this from the experienced Karaskas, and he takes the class win at 8th place. Well, the young fans were certainly delighted by the on-track action, as we'll take a look at the final results with the win for Alex Craven, second place Louis Hamilton-Smith, third Tristan Cliff, fourth Alice Powell. Mark Harrison completes the top 5, Dave Karaskas winning the trophy class. Time for the drivers to celebrate on the rostrum, which means we'll take a short break. Join us in a couple of moments' time for race 2 of the F3 Cup from Brands Hatch.